Hi Jake, it's Fancy, and I'm looking at your design and comparing it to what you said about it in your post. And I know you're concerned about removing the black lines, but you need to. There should be enough differentiation between the gray values. Well, let's look here because this is where the gray values are. This is basically your scale right here. But there should be enough differentiation between the different values that are next to each other so that you don't need lines to separate them. It's going to look better, believe it or not, but compositionally there's some issues. As you remember, we want more than one point of emphasis within our composition, otherwise it becomes static movement. So all these diagonal lines are just pointing to this single point of emphasis along with these concentric squares that are also gradating, and so your eye just goes right there and pretty much stops. That's where all the visual interest is. So you need to think of a way to incorporate more than one point of emphasis, and we usually say that odd numbers are better. That creates more visual interest. So, you could shift this entire thing down, perhaps, um, um, or to the left or to the right. Since it's so big, there's a visual weight to it, and so we want something that's weightier visually to be at the bottom to have a more stable composition. Um, and then you could add some other similar points of emphasis elsewhere. You don't have to see the complete point of emphasis as you do here, but through closure, perhaps it spills off part of the picture plane here or there, and we still understand what it is because we have this one that is represented here in almost its entirety. Um, right now, you're gradating across pathways, so starting with dark and moving to kind of darker middle gray, darker gray, middle grays, lighter grays, etc. So you're grading out on at least two sides. Here it's broken up, of course, and that's fine. Let's see, and here you have some gradation worked into it, and I think that's working pretty well, and I think that you should kind of continue working in that direction as well. So this really needs to be reworked. Again, building in, I think if you build in more than one point of emphasis, that's really going to define your composition, and then you'll know what to do with the spaces that are left over, if you have any leftover spaces. Um, so try to define 3 points of emphasis at a minimum, and probably at a maximum because these are quite large. You can make them smaller, um, and then try to position them, strategically to have an asymmetrical balance and to have uh, your eye be led around strategically around the composition, and then see where you need to go from there. But if you could try it one more time, that would be great. And like I said in critique, I think it's an interesting strategy that you have to try to make it more three-dimensional, and I like the way that some of the blocks on the top kind of spill over to the side, and that really does create visual interest as well. Um, hopefully that's not too difficult to keep working with. So please do try to post another one. Go into Illustrator and immediately do a file, save as, and save this one intact, and work on a duplicate version of it so that you can go back to something that you previously thought was working if you need to. All right. Good luck, Jake.